Hello, I've decided to record once more, and well, yeah, here we are. I've got a lot of stuff that I've been doing off of YouTube, and one of them is actually this. It might not show up very well on my screen because I am recording with the phone because you got to start somewhere. But anyway, um, I wanted to record this just to kind of get this out there because I've been kind of working on this for a long time. As you can see, I've got 60 pages in this thing. It's a whole kind of course, I'm not done with this, but also it's a whole kind of campaign setting for 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons as I've been getting really into it. So of course you have your table of contents. A lot of these things I haven't even like actually made yet, so you can see everything actually from the Islands of Lunas onward, like all of this. This is not finished, and then everything from like actually this is not even in the doc yet. And then everything from this point, the Baronian Wasteland onward, is actually also not in the doc. So you got a ton of different stuff. So after you got that, bleh. So we got the history. History is fun, but I think, yeah, you know what? I think today we'll be kind of covering the history and my ideas and inspirations. So this is, of course, chapter one, the history of the mortal Vales, which is the name of the universe that it takes in place in. So like regular D&D fifth edition takes place in the Forgotten Realms. Well, mine is the mortal Vales. And basically, in the beginning of the world, there were two powerful, like, kind of over gods, I guess. And there was Allfather and Meriflet. These two were blah, 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 only things to exist back then on a small plane. And they were visited by extraplanar travelers who kind of came in and telling stories of really cool places. And they were like, hey, we want to make that. So it's literally just kind of a tale of basically, oh, we see all this other cool stuff happening in different places, so we want to kind of do something of our own. It's kind of like a metaphor for having a child, actually. Now that I think about it, because it's basically what they wanted to do. They were like, "Oh, be happy, we can look over this world or whatever." And actually, that will tie in later because I've got an idea for something else. But anyway, the ritual that they kind of concocted went terribly wrong. The Allfather kind of like blew up and kind of condensed, or no, his essence like trickled down and formed like all the other gods. And then Mariflight was kind of just like, she also exploded, but her essence was kind of like spread across all the dimension. And that's why every plane is infused with magic now. And then, of course, after doing that, they were actually, I haven't decided on this yet because it wasn't my original intention. But the parallel between having a child and them having this plane to themselves is actually so strong that I kind of wanted to implement something because with the pain and anguish of Meriflet's demise, it basically created Somranthus, who is the Archduke of Picaris. I don't know why I said hell down here actually. So hold on, let me change that real quick. Bit. Ah! Oh no! What's going on? No, don't print that. Archduke of Picaris. Right. This is going terribly wrong. What is happening? What's happening? We okay? We good? We good? P? Anything? Oh my god. This is ridiculous, of course. Of course this happens now. Hold on. Woohoo. This is certainly a professional YouTube channel. Yeah, you can tell, eh? But you guys have already forgotten everything that I just said. Oh, well, I can cut this out during, like, post-editing. Load! Oh my god. This is a disaster. This is a disaster. Alright, hold on. Is it working? This is all because I wanted to change one letter. I wanted to change... No, not one letter. One word. Okay, so I cut out a little bit of stuff before this because my Chromebook started freaking out because I wanted to change one letter apparently. But anyway, picking up where I left off, it basically gave birth to the Archduke of Picaris, which is the hell basically. So yeah, and I said the parallel between like having a child was so strong that I was considering having Samranthus actually be the corruption of the child that they actually wanted to have. So like the ritual entailed creating a universe and a child. But the child got corrupted, and well, now the child is kind of tormenting their universe. Anyway, so this realm created from the tragic event was called the Mortal Vales. And when the gods were created from the soul of the Allfather, they were kind of like compelled to the same thirst that for creation that the Allfather had. So basically, the gods were like, "All right, let's just like pool all of our creations into one place." So the elemental gods created the material plane, which is incorporating all of the elements basically, which is air, earth, water, and fire, that sort of thing. And then after that, they kind of slapped in giants. So everybody, all the gods, like kind of conglomerated and went like, all right, we're gonna make giants, and that's what they did. And aside the Ganassi, which are, we'll get to the history of the races later, but alongside the Ganassi and Tree Striders. Then the giants created their own culture for centuries, but ended up enslaving the Ganassi and the other colossal creatures, which angered the gods and kind of just like destroyed their kingdoms because it was never supposed to be a permanent thing, and the giants kind of overstepped their boundaries that were outlined in a different in a sort of commandment thing, and they overstepped that, and so they were kind of destroyed. Um, After that, after the giants dispersed, each god created their own race to put into the world. Like there's a god named Orogan Ross who created the humans. There's one named I can't remember his name, but oh, you know what? That actually leads into something else. But you know what? I will save a lot of this stuff for later. So where was I? So yeah, the gods created their own races to put in the world, and then after that they disbanded. And each one inhabiting different planes or mini planes. Then many creatures had roamed the vast lands of Koror, which is originally the supercontinent of Surregarth before the supercontinent kind of like split off, and it kind of separated the kingdoms. Then the former supercontinent, yeah, I literally said it right there. Okay. So at the first, humanoids grouped up in bands of their own kind, forming tribes with Lone the Ram, taking around giant beasts, spawned of Dilmund, which is the god of beasts, who was like, all right, we're just gonna put some cool animals in here, just to kind of freshen it up from all the humanoids. Then, after many years of the once uncivilized populace of Surregarth grew as a culture, creating the first inklings of kingdoms to come. The once divided races came together to maintain peace and survive together, and though there were still monsters and barbarian tribes walking around, most of Koror was populated by united peoples, developing their kingdoms with many legendary adventurers popping up and kind of helping the advancement of civilization. Then life underground was thriving as well, with the Myconids, Deep Gnomes, and the Duergar and the Underdark, which was created by the goddess of Earth, Terra, as a little bit of kind of a little bit of spice to the world. Basically, like, oh, you got the above ground, you've got the sky, where very few things actually lived, because later on down the line things started to move upward in terms of population. So Terra was like, okay, so we got the sky, we got the land, and now nothing's really, not too much at least, is living underground. So she kind of created the Underdark, which was at first not supposed to be the like it really terrible, but it kind of developed into that. And as neutral gods, the elemental god Terra kind of didn't care. And then to humor her, some of the other, oh yeah, Barsel. Barsel is the original dwarven god, and before he died, which is a unique thing in my world, as far as I know, is that gods weaken and die. But I'll touch on that. I'll touch on that later. And so, like, this little concept was humaned by Barsel and Rayr, which is the god of Rayr is the god of gnomes. So they kind of made Deep Gnomes and Duergar. So I'm not trying to be like super original in this. I'm still using races from the Forgotten Realms, and I'm still building off of their personalities as well. A lot of the general race stereotypes and personalities are kind of the same here. So, it's not completely original, but it's not supposed to be. This is more for me and my friends than anything else. No publisher will ever like put their eyes on this, obviously. So, blah, blah, blah. This was also when Samranthus started making his first moves to ensure suffering upon the population of Surregarth. He let loose his creations in the world, which is the devils, specifically near an elven forest, and upon the first drop of elven blood being spilled, Samranthus corrupted it and created the orcs, with the original creation being blessed with godly power, Grek. And then back in the day, orcs followed Grek blindly and became raiders. So that's another thing in my realm. Orcs, most orcs actually aren't savage raiders anymore. In fact, that's the minority. now, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So blah blah blah, and then Rockfell was created later through his own greed, creating the Goblinoids, which also oppose the growing kingdoms in Koror. I actually really like the Goblinoids in my setting. They're the originators of gunpowder, as they are kind of a corruption of gnomes, and they use their creative powers for evil to just kind of like destroy stuff. So they created gunpowder. They have actual like flintlock guns and stuff. They use explosives, that sort of thing. It's fun. And I always liked the idea that they would back in Koror, the days of Koror, that they were kind of like mobsters, gangs that lived in cities, that were kind of like secret and nobody really knew about them. But either way, that's besides the whole point of this one video. So the era of undeveloped kingdoms quickly passed as elves, humans, dwarves, Ganassi, and all of their intelligent humanoids worked together to expand their empires. Eventually, most of Koror was covered in large kingdoms with small sections of untamed land that was even being fought over or undesired because of the amount of monsters inhabiting the area. Alongside the advancements, civilization and many other things were developed in this time, from weapons of war advancing to clubs to bows and spears, shields, swords, ballistae, and many more contraptions. I'm not too considered with. I'm not too concerned about realism in my world. I mean, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's not like supposed to be super realistic. And of course, swords were not really used as the like the main weapon of many medieval fighters, as some fantasy portrays them. But I don't really care about that. I don't care if my like friends like bring sword and they go like, I'm a sword wielding cool guy with a shield and I've got this cool stuff. But most of the guards in my world still kind of stick to a little bit of realism in the fact that they mostly have spears with shields and also longbows. So it's not. I'm not really forcing realism upon anyone. I do actually want to cover some rules I loved or I was loving to implement in my world, but that's for later down the line, like I said. So blah blah blah. Secret. Yeah, developing a more secret was magic, which used to be condemned during the past. During this period, magic was advanced from what it is now to now known as first level spells all the way up to sixth level, with more being unlocked down the line. So I think it says later on in this thing, but I think I was about to say I think it said later on in this thing, but eventually it goes the advancement of the advancement of magic goes up to 8th level and then stops for my realm as it is right now. So there actually are no 9th level spells in my world until one of the players gets to the level where they can get 9th level spells, and then I will essentially let them create it. Because at this point nobody in the world is powerful enough to kind of do that. The most powerful casters are sort of leaders of their own, like their own countries or whatever. Like the elven, there's an elven king who is a druid and he's really really good at magic. Then there's a human king who's a wizard who's really good at magic. But that's besides the point. I've been saying that a lot because, well, it is besides the point, and I've been kind of spouting out a bunch of different stuff, just kind of explaining a few different things, going a little bit more in depth, though I know it might be confusing to those who can't really keep up with it. I don't know. This is more for me than anything. I just kind of want to have like a little recording of this before anything else kind of goes on. Of course, it's trying to connect. Thanks, Google Docs. I should really use World Anvil. I really can't get into it, though. I've tried it before. Anyway, wow, I went into a whole tangent. So, basically, after the magic stuff, tragedy came as Somronthus made his first move to destroy the gods and claim victory. He corrupted the god of beasts Dilmun by convincing him that he was being ignored by the other gods and that his creations were their creations were being favored, which they kind of were. Since humanoids dominated the most of the land of Koror, so Dilmun's was like, not cool. So then he teamed up with an evil dragon god, Drashulsh, alongside his previous creations in Rockfell and Gruk, of which were completely loyal to him, and launched his attack on the gods. It was a hard-fought battle between them as the evil gods were able to absorb the souls of the good gods. But in the end, all the aggressors against the Pantheon were sealed away in different planes created by the gods on the spot, specifically for imprisoning the others. Alongside this, they were also able to extract the souls of other gods before sending extract the souls of the other gods before sending the evil gods into those planes. This left the gods drained, however, and to this day, they still don't have all the power back. So basically, in my world, gods kind of have like a well of power, and if that well goes dry, then you're kind of out of luck. And it's very interesting to me because in most like settings, gods are like all powerful. Like you really can't do much against them. But in my setting, it's more of you could definitely like take down one that is very weakened, which is actually most of the good gods at this point. Though I don't know if anybody's going to be really taking down a good god, or at least any adventuring party, unless you're playing an evil campaign. But that's not exactly what I'm banking on because I don't really like those campaigns. But either way, yeah, blah, 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 big battle. And also, the orcs, goblinoids, and dragons kind of split off from the original god's will. Goblinoids less so because they were, because Rockfell was so ridiculously paranoid that somebody would turn against him, or one of his own would turn against him, that he made all of them basically into like just brainwashed like people who constantly revere him. Grek didn't really care, and then like Drashulsh, he kind of saw himself as the like supreme paragon, and he kind of made the mistake of creating all the dragons with that same kind of complex. So they kind of split off because they didn't have to really follow him anymore. But anyway, there's still blah, blah, orc savages, goblinoids, militia, mafias. Yeah, I love goblinoid mafias. That's what I said. That's what I was saying. And actually, yeah, it was for a while. And whatever. Okay. So the war still had more consequences. The gods being drained. The powers of said gods clashing against each other was enough to shake the realm of mortals, which split apart Koror, with the remaining land masses floating apart from each other disturbingly quickly, ruining the underground dwarven fortresses and destroying vast amounts of the Underdark, of which soon the Drow became stranded in, or well, the future Drow became stranded in. The magical tension of the gods clashing also lifted land masses into the sky, suspended midair as they floated away. The huge kingdoms of old were split apart literally and fell into history after a while. So before now, the people of Surregarth kind of had no need for sea travel. So once Koror split apart, there was no way to traverse the other continents for a while. Once the split cultures were able to develop sailing ships, it was already kind of too late to scavenge the empires of old back together. As for the first couple hundred years, everyone was in a panic as the monsters of Surregarth found the chance to invade civilization and cause havoc. In this terrifying time, no one was able to coordinate an effort to reconvene with others, as the horrifying beast tore through the streets of long complacent citizens. Citizens of the flying landmasses had to adapt to their new lifestyle and find ways to communicate with the people below, which took even more time, further cementing the separation of the past kingdoms. This did lead to the invention of airships, however, which revolutionized the efficiency of travel and transport of goods, so that's good. So over the years, the ones who survived the split, as the populace called it, grew hardier. Most of them had no clue how they could restore the former glory of the empires of old, and the younger generations couldn't really care less as new kingdoms were formed alongside new governments, which is what they were concerned about. After the initial chaotic few hundred years of the split, there was a long stretch of peace in which many alliances were made. Magic was finally advanced to what it is now on the 9th level. I think I'm gonna take that down a peg to 8th level, but I like I said earlier on in the video, whenever I tried to edit it, it kind of freaked out, so I'm kind of cautious now. And contraptions like sewing machines and typewriters were created, so like kind of primitive technology. I like that sort of thing where it's like magic mixed with like primitive technology like typewriters and sewing machines and that sort of thing. Anyway, however, this peaceful age ended throughout the next few thousand years, which is 2,000, blah, 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 who really cares? Let's just say 2,000 years. So the summoning of Dilmun from Pandemonia into, not Pandemonium. I actually changed the name. I completely forgot. I actually I changed the name of both the Hell and Pandemonium, kind of like alternatives in my world. Insanius. I think it's spelled that way. I'll look at it later. Indicmoria was one of the most devastating as the Raging God took out. So basically, Insanius is kind of like Pandemonium from the Forgotten Realms. Huge cave system, howling winds, drives you insane. So it drove Dilmun insane. He was summoned up, and it kind of destroyed a bunch of stuff. So it took out the leading kingdom of the continent, leaving the Wildlands in its place and splitting the kingdom of Ganala before being slain by an adventuring group hailed as the God Killers. In the continent of Barone, the Twin Kingdoms were subjected to an extinction event wrought on by elemental rage, as the kingdoms were trying to harness that power, leaving all civilizations on that continent to be destroyed, leaving the remnants of the kingdom of Driscoll to hide from dangerous creatures that now roam the continent. In the continent of Udan, oh yeah, by the way, these were twins. Initially, it was supposed to be like two kingdoms, like twin kingdoms, but I kind of just formed it into one because I didn't really care. So hold on, as the kingdom. Okay, hold on. Twin kingdoms. The kingdom. Oh, hold on. I'll just change it to the kingdom of Driscoll. Driscoll. Kingdom of Driscoll. No, hold on. Driscoll. Were subjected to an extinction event. Rob Bottom was subjected. The kingdom of Barone, or no, kingdom of Driscoll was subjected to an extinction event brought on by elemental rage. Elements that they were trying to harvest, or as the kingdom. Hold on. Brought on by elemental rage, as the kingdom was trying to harness that power, leaving all civilization on that continent to be destroyed, leaving the remnants of the kingdom to hide from dangerous creatures that now roam the continent. Continent of Dan, the fragmented nations warred, leaving what can only be called small factions instead of the aforementioned nations. There's also Ehal, which was attacked by. There was also the. I'll change this later, but this is basically one flying island, and I kind of want to make it a bunch of flying islands that were attacked by a coalition of 5 adult dragons known as the Talons of Tyranny, who wanted to take the floating continents and create a utopia for themselves, take the vast earth for treasures the kingdom holds, and try to harness the magic inside the island that caused it to float, and many hoped that it would harness it. The dragon threat was eventually stopped by, however, 2 different adventuring groups to band together and gather a piece of an ancient giant weapon to take the dragons to take out the dragons all across the continent, leaving the dragon population nowadays creatures who lay low, desperate not to repeat the same mistakes their ancestors did. This also left the population of Ehal scarce, as well as many airships shredded to pieces, cutting transport between the floating islands and the mainland, leading to shortages of supplies, even after warding off the dragon threat. The whole ordeal chafing the denizens of Ehal, leaving the land mostly unpopulated to this day. The rocky spires and the islands of Lunas were the only places safe from peril during these years, though the denizens of both remained vigilant in case of an emergency. And so, about 1,000 years after these events, we arrive in the present day, with flying airships created by the denizens of Ehal, vast scores of land with ruins of old kingdoms in the wildlands, and the continent of Oakwin, which has history sites dating all the way back to the empires from Koror. Monsters clash with the varied kingdoms of all continents, and conflict is everywhere. Perfect for adventurers to make their mark on the world, eh? So that's on that kind of lame note. I closed off the first chapter. Oh, hey, whoa, hey, get back down there. Wow, 22 minutes for how many pages? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I had a lot to explain. This is only the starting video. I might upload a few more as we go along. I think I'm going to upload a few more videos. Some of them will be reviews. Like I promised like 9 months ago. I was like, hey, we're going to make some more reviews and stuff. Woohoo! And I'll do better on that. And I guess I could sink a little bit of money into this if I really want to, if I really just have nothing else to do. So I might just go like, okay, I'll get a capture card, fine. So anyway, yeah, that's about it. Bye-bye!